So, Ken, I'm going to kind of give you the floor here because I know this is obviously, as a coach of the women's team Spain, you know, this is heartbreaking.
I think it's just it's just tragic. It's knowing the amount of hard work that went into, because at the highest level, there's no, you know, there's no, at the top 8, maybe 10 teams, the gaps between them are getting smaller and smaller. You know, the days of USA, Mexico kind of being almost untouchable are getting fewer and fewer. And, you know, epitomized by that, the game against USA, it was 7-6 at half time to us as Spain. The game finished 18-14. But I think it's just, where do I start? The whole episode just leaves a really, it's not even sour, it's a bitter taste, you know, because I think there's you've said twice that unfortunately Spain have had to withdraw. I still don't agree with that. And from everything I know, I don't see why that had to be the case.
What do you know?
Well, I know, yeah. So just to give, and I think there are, outside of, I think the easiest way, because I still very much want to be a part of the team. I am still a part of the team. I still want the team to be successful because, as you said, it's a great set of players and a great coaching system. But the federation has really let us down. We went to Finland World Championships, and the aim, well, the main aim was to qualify for Chengdu for the World Games, because outside of the Olympics, which hasn't happened yet, this is the biggest stage in the world for flag football. There's no higher level. The World Championships aren't, you know, even because it's an exclusive group that got called up to it. And we've gone out, lots of sleepless nights, lots of hard work. You can imagine what goes into, you know, making sure that you finish, and it had to be top 7 at the World Championships.
Because China is a host city, nation, so therefore
so they get
that's why they
get
exactly like when Finland does it.
And it's 8 teams that are in the World Games. We've done all that. We've qualified. That was back in August last year, and work began straight away, planning for the World Games, because the World Games are then also a month before the European Championships. We had trials set out. It's the biggest trials, especially for the women's flag team, that Spain have ever had, because the amount of talent they've got coming through from youth is ridiculous. I'll say it here and now. Spain could put together 2 adult female teams this year that would still be top 8 in the world, I think, right? 2, yeah. They have enough players of that at that level of talent. Obviously, everyone's also seen that the teams qualified for the World Games, Olympics is coming. Everything is happening as it's supposed to be, because you're generating this wave of, this is a new sport. This is something that, you know, especially for the females, like we can really excel in and do well. So much so that we had to plan 2 trial days, one in Barcelona, one in Madrid, because of the number of players that were trying to trial, you know, for the team. Flown out to Barcelona, the worst day of weather I've had in Spain on that Saturday. Don't know what happened, but everyone was like, "Oh, you brought the British weather." Ha 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 ha. But we got through that day. This is a serious talk.
I know. Sorry.
Did that day, and you know the players have put themselves through. Like they've really put themselves through the ringer to get through that day. Got on the train to Madrid. Woke up on the Sunday morning, bright and early, and I've got a message from, and this is the bit that is, for now, most appalling. I have a message from a Swiss coach, okay, a coach from a Swiss team, who's heard news from a coach from the Italian team that says Spain's pulled out of the World Games. And it's like...
Oh, so you heard through the grapevine. This wasn't like someone called your personal phone.
It wasn't.
Wow. Crazy.
And I read that. I literally, as in I wake up on Saturday morning, I send him and that message. And I send him back a message, haha, rumour mill, type deal, whatever.
It's because we're going to beat you.
I've gone down to breakfast, and, you know, some of the staff and players are there. And I'm kind of showing them in the, oh, look, because I detest the rumor mill. Like, I can't stand it. If you don't know someone said something, in fact, don't repeat it. It doesn't. And slowly but surely, it turns out that actually this thing is so. But that was how the coaches and the players found out that they've been pulled out.
It's terrible.
And then cue this. It's the most natural thing, because the players are like, why? What's the reason? And the Spanish Federation, FIFA, have released a statement, I think, stating financial difficulties, which, again, for flag football has been self-funded for forever. I don't know many people that get paid to play or to travel or so on and so forth. But it's the same way we do it. I say we do it as when we so I'm I got my words out. But as coach of the when I was head coach of the GB youth programs, again, because of FAFA's constraints, like it was self-funded to go. No one.
It's probably worth just bringing that up as you're talking about the GB youth situation, how you did that, because a lot of people are going to be curious how that worked.
They got listen, consultancy fees. No, but it was we did everything from raffles to some of it was funded by parents and the players themselves, naturally. Contacting company, just trying every means we could to raise the fund, but we did it. 2 years straight, 3 teams, 2 European Championships. So if the thing that is difficult to understand, all right, and I'm picking my words very carefully here, the thing that's difficult to understand is if it was financial difficulties, why was that not communicated with the team to say, hey, guys, we're super proud of you for achieving this amazing opportunity. We have this hurdle, because if it's a financial issue, that's all it is. It's a hurdle, and it can be surmounted. But actually what ends up happening is, as a statement of fact, without communicating with anyone on the team or the players, you go to IFAF and you pull the team out, right?
I think everyone always has to pay. Like tackle, we all have to pay.
Like it's minus money for everything. But then I don't know if I'm jumping ahead of your story by asking this then. Obviously, flag's pretty new, the World Championships, a lot of it's self-funded. Is it then possible for Team Spain to turn around and go, do you know what, we're just going to go on our own volition, we still want to go, or do we need to have a governing body that takes the team forward to that competition, or can you turn around and be like, do you know what, I've got enough players, I've got their families backing, we're still going to go ahead and do this? Because
that's a good question. Because it's a formal competition, so from IFAF as the International Federation and the World Games as a separate organisation, but working together to put on the World Games competition, it has to go via national governing bodies. So IFAF can't just go to Kenny Bello and be like, have you got a team to bring to represent Spain? So, and I understand that formal process, because I think you need that for the purposes of
that's the professionalism of the sport, right?
And transparency. And to be honest, that's what we have not seen from the Spanish Federation, because it's and I think the thing that I said it's tragic. The thing that hurts the most is that this is you're literally playing with people's aspirations, dreams, and that's you hold a great power in your hand and you abuse it. And that I think that's the thing that is, because for a lot of there are players who this is their last year of playing, or that would have been the highest level they could have played to. Especially when we look at women's sports, we have people who have very literally put their lives on hold to be the super athletes that they've been, to make sure, and I'm going to stop ranting, but it's a real, I think tragic is the word. Like, it's really sad, really, really sad.
And I think you brought up a good point about women putting their lives on hold. I know men, there are certain life situations as well, because actually within tackle now, we've just done a European cycle, hence why I retired. And then, and the thought was you would have the World Championships in 2026, but that's all changed now.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's now been pushed back to 2027. But again, that wasn't something that we knew about until this year. So we were anticipating building up towards next year being the World Championships. A lot of us were sort of planning on that being our real swan song. For us then to be told we're actually going back into another European cycle, and there's a few teams that obviously now can't afford to participate in another European cycle, so they've dropped out, so it's a smaller European cycle, and then they pushed Worlds back to 2027, and we still don't have a host country. So there's actually no guarantee that it's even going to run in 2027 either. And you know, it's disappointing in like both senses because, you know, like you say, people put their lives on hold, but also like things like careers and stuff are affected. You know, like it's a really big commitment to be part of a sport that is so demanding. And like even, you know, when you're saying about your testing and all the things that you have to go through, they're not always things you think about. You think, oh, you know, I'm going to throw a ball around, you know, I'm going to, you know, run this play, I'm going to get a tag pulled, and I'm like, yeah, great fun, might win a medal at the end of it. But actually, there's so much that goes into that whole process. And I think sometimes maybe that's overlooked, that as a team, you have to give up so much in order to really commit to a sport and to be really good at a sport. There's so much that you have to decide that actually that can wait for a year or that can wait for 2 years. And then when they push things or when you get withdrawn from things, you're like, well, I've already paused everything and I still really want to achieve that. But now I'm looking at maybe another 2-3 year gap until I can achieve that. So, like,
and what
happens
in those 2-3
exactly.
years? Because you know all the things you might have wanted to do. And for anyone that doesn't understand what we're talking about, try planning a potential pregnancy into a year-round plan for an athlete. It's so tough. And so just to go back to the because I think the other part of it that people that might have not recognized is for those players who have worked hard because they've been promised, the understanding is, hey, if we can achieve this, we get this as this is the reward, this is the prize for doing that. You know, how do we motivate them? How do they have trust to come back and say, okay, we're going to go again, we're going to dig deep, we're going to, you know, put not just lives on hold but bodies on the line, we're going to go all out for this.
Gets to the point where you're like, what's the reward for it?
And,
you know, if I'm not getting the competition, if I'm not getting the medal, what have I got out of this?
But more than that, even if you got it, what's the promise that it's not going to be taken away again? Which is, you know, it's just really sad times. And I think it's the anger, it's the sadness, and it's the, you know, it's finding ways to, because no disrespect to, because, you know, a month after is the European Championships, and fingers crossed we will be there. But I think there's, again, no disrespect to anyone, World Games in China, you know, that's
incredible.
A once in a lifetime opportunity, and it's just taken away, thrown away. I'm not going to say anything worse, but
no, but it's important for us to be able to talk about these things, right? From what's really happening in the world of international sport to men's and women's lives, and how you have to adjust for them to essentially act like a professional athlete, act like an Olympic athlete without necessarily having all the means and funds to support that lifestyle.
Absolutely.
So sacrifice is at the absolute foundation of everything that a lot of these flag and tackle athletes are doing in their lives. And, you know, trust, if you don't have trust in your federation or in your national governing body, what does that mean? How do you continue to find ways to play and compete against the best ones out there? I think that's constantly a conversation around this. But
sorry to interrupt. Can I just say I have to call them out, and you'll forgive me. But it was interesting that it was interesting that it also coincided with International Women's Day, because I have to call it, like, Monica, Olga, Chris, Laia, to name 4 of them in particular, are players on the Spanish team who have gone above and beyond to call out what they saw, you know, as wrongdoings from the federation, and I think they just need a lot of support in everything they're doing. So I had to call them out.
No, we love them. They're amazing. Absolutely. We've been able to see their journey for a really long time now.